if you could take one magic pill that would improve your health significantly, what would that pill consist of?
Hey everyone, this is Aaron and Juwan, and you're listening to Wellness for Real People. This show is for people who are on the go, busy, and looking for ways to live their best lives. We focus on wellness topics in mindfulness, exercise, diet, and sleep, and share quick, actionable tactics to improve your health and wellness. We're not perfect, but we're trying to get a little better each day. Let's grow on this journey together.
Well, today we're talking about a fascinating article from UC Health talking about the benefits of exercise. And it turns out some studies are showing that exercise can be even more effective in many cases than medication. And we're going to dive deep into it in the many ways that exercise can help support your physical, mental well-being, and help keep you active and healthy for a very long time. So we're back with another episode of Wellness for Real People. My name's Juwan, here with my co-host Aaron. And Aaron, before we dive into the specifics in the article and some of the studies that they cited, were there some just general overall takeaways or aha moments that you had when you read through it?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is the title grabbed me immediately. And even in the article, one of the assistant professors said that if I could put something in a pill, it would be exercise. And then the article goes on to explain how that impacts your life in many, many different assets, but also making it more realistic for people too, because a lot of people don't like exercise. A lot of people don't want to figure out like a plan or like all these things. And so I think the article did a really good job of level setting of how impactful exercise is, but then also how you can get started with it and how you can make that real for yourself. So I thought that was amazing. So I'm excited to dive into that with you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to. You mentioned her name. Let me find it so we get it.
Liz Chamberlain, yeah, assistant professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Colorado Anschutz School of Medicine.
Right, yeah. And then there's also Wendy Court,
Yes.
Kohrt, distinguished professor of medicine in the Division of Geriatric Medicine at the University of Colorado as well, who was cited in this article. And Court says every doctor you go to says, of course, yes, you should exercise. It's good for you. But they don't tell you exactly what you should be doing or how frequently or for how long. And she said, I equate that with them handing you a bottle of pills and saying, here, take these. Right.
It doesn't give you a lot of context to what you're taking or why you're taking it, but you trust them. You trust them, as you should.
I thought that was a great quote. And so to your point around, if you're thinking about how should I get started, she shares some great simple tips about exercise. First, any movement is better than nothing, right? We talk about that all the time. Just can we get up and just move? Whether just natural movement in our everyday lives, walking up the stairs if we're able to do it, park a little bit further in the parking lot and walk in a little bit further. Little things, go out in if you have a garden, go out and do a little bit of gardening. Just cleaning up around the house or just going for a walk around the block if you're able. Those little things can add up and make a big difference. Any movement is better than nothing. Yeah. Second, it's never too late to start exercising. And third, the more you do, the better. And I thought that's a very simple way to kind of get started. Again, there are some limits. You don't have to go too crazy, like jump off the couch and go immediately to running an ultra marathon, right? Got to pace ourselves a bit. But I love this as a simple way, a simple mantra, 3 simple tips to kind of help us, get up and get active a little bit more in our lives.
Yeah, and I thought the other comments too around, types of exercise. What about getting my heart rate up versus weightlifting and all these things? There's so many different ways that you can get active, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is movement. Along with workouts that get your heart rate up, people should also try to incorporate resistance training, such as weightlifting, Court said. So what that means to me is not necessarily diving into some really super intense lifting program, but start to incorporate that as much as you can. Strength training, she said, is especially important for women as well, that may have less muscle than men and are more at risk for bone loss from osteoporosis, but encourage people to ask for help too when they get started to avoid injury. So whatever that looks like for you, whether it's joining a program, a community group, if you can afford a personal trainer, whatever that looks like, getting some help to get started, but trying to incorporate some weightlifting is key.
Yeah. And to your point around a variety of exercises, is, the question was asked, is it helpful to have a variety of exercises rather than just walking? And she says, yes, variety is great. Different activities move our bodies in different ways and directions. We get to use different muscle groups. So she mentions, doing some twisting and turning activities such as tennis, golf, or dancing, things that don't necessarily just have you moving in one direction at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that, right? So, you've got, just, walking or aerobic exercise. And then you mentioned throwing in perhaps a little bit of resistance training or weight training, right? And then another option, if you want to add to that or want to do something a little bit different, is more of these kind of active activities, that we just talked about. So give yourself and your body a variety of things. So one, it just keeps life a little bit more interesting, right? Because you don't get bored doing the same thing every time, but also you get to use and utilize, so many different muscles, which I think is really, really important for not just overall strength, but also balance. That is really, really important as we age.
Yes. I'm going to jump down a little bit into the article with another aspect that plays really well into our pillars for this show. The question came up, does nutrition play a role in encouraging or discouraging people from exercise? And that's something that we talk about a lot in the diet portion of our show. The article from Liz's standpoint says that yes, nutrition can be an important factor in exercise, and a growing body of evidence points to the importance of a fiber-rich diet. If you want to check it out, we have previous episodes that talk about how do you get more fiber, but essentially trying to figure out ways to incorporate more lean protein, fewer processed foods, and eating those foods consistently can improve energy levels, sleeping, as well as sharpen your focus. But then more importantly, it's going to give you that fuel that you need to actually go out and do your workout. So again, we talked about this previously, but nutrition plays a really important factor in starting to build this habit and continuing to succeed with this habit. And overall, you're just going to feel better. I was like, I know how we talked about this before, but I know like when I have a good week of like, we cooked, we made, really nice meals, we ate well, I feel so good that week. But then there's other weeks where things get busy and crazy and I let that slide. And I feel even worse because I'm eating bad, if I'm eating takeout and stuff. Like it's such a crazy correlation, but it makes sense. And the article really kind of hits that home of that nutrition part of how important that is to really focus on that.
Absolutely. Another piece that's really important to making sure that we can maintain that exercise routine or system or habit is sleep.
Yes.
The question was asked, is sleep important if I want to make exercise a regular part of my routine? The answer is yes. So the amount of restorative sleep we get each night obviously affects our energy levels, but Chamberlain also noted research that points to a bidirectional relationship in which sleep affects mood disorders and vice versa. So that in turn can affect our ability or desire to exercise. And I'll tell you right now, when I get a terrible night of sleep, I don't really have the motivation or energy to get up and do a workout. Right?
You don't want to get up and do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sleep is a critical part of the equation as well. As like you said, the diet piece is important, and the sleep piece is really, really important to making sure that we can be consistent with our goals.
Yeah, and I want to spend a little time on this one with you too. The next topic is the question came up. The person said, "The truth is, I just don't like to exercise. What can I do?" I think that's very real for a lot of people, and a lot of people in situations where if you're pre-diabetic or you're struggling with weight, and even me personally, like just trying to go through my own journey of like trying to get back into exercise and like, what can I do if like that's not part of my normal routine, if it's something that I don't really like to do or seek out to do. So the article offers a couple things. I'll mention a couple of Juwan if you want to jump into, but Chamberlain recommended pairing physical activity with something pleasurable. So as simple as getting on a treadmill and listening to a podcast, watching a show, or whatever that looks like while you're on the treadmill. And doing that over time kind of builds that habit, builds that routine, but it also creates a positive trigger as well, because then you're doing something you like while exercising. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of time. But when you do that over time, it is going to change things for you, and you're going to start to have more positive connotations with exercise, and you're going to feel better. But it's one of those things where if you don't like it, you got to start small. You don't want to dive into some crazy program that's going to like put you on a whole nother level of, intensity and pain and all that stuff. And I get there's a place for that too. Like if you want to take it to the next level, there's a place for that. But for somebody just starting out and trying to figure this out, like there's also a place for that too, and doing something a little bit more simple and trying to at least get your body moving in the meantime. But yeah, Juwan, I would love to hear your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think, if it's not enjoyable, if you have to, kick yourself to do it every single time, and you feel terrible at winning after you do it, you're fighting your human nature to try to make it a consistent habit in our life. So I'm a big advocate or proponent of finding a system or a routine or a set of activities that you enjoy, right? That just feel naturally, good to you, and building off of that, right? Building those habits slowly, like you said, working your way into it, building momentum, gradually trying on some new things, increasing the intensity or the activity level over time, I think is for me a more sustainable way or more sustainable approach. I also like how they mention, if you can find an accountability partner, right? So,
Yes.
you
So
know,
huge. So
yeah, yeah,
huge. Yeah.
yeah. Like I'll let myself down, but I rarely want to let down a friend or someone that I care about, right? And so
Yes.
if I set a date to be somewhere at a particular point in time, I'm gonna do everything in my power to be there and to do that. And that's where I think group activities or even with one other person can be really helpful and powerful and motivating if you're just getting into the habit and the routine. Have something to look forward to and catch up and just build
Yeah.
build on a relationship. If
Yeah, no, it's like even me and you, like now we've been like going doing golf, like that, like gets me out and moving and walking and like more of a positive mindset of like trying to improve that. Like I'm trying to be a great golfer or anything like that, but just getting out there is so good to just like get that movement, get the body moving, and try to learn something new and doing a physical activity on top of that while hanging out with friends. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's a good segue into this next point here. It says, we hear the term movement is medicine. Is there
Mm-hmm.
any research that supports that idea? And the answer is yes. The Diabetes Prevention Program study lends some strong support for the notion of movement as medicine. So it says the National Institutes of Health sponsored trial, which ran from 96 to 2001, it says this study enrolled more than 3,200 people with prediabetes, which put them at risk for progressing to type 2 diabetes. And they were randomly assigned to one of three groups. So, one of the groups, those people received metformin, a medication which manages insulin. Uh, Group number two received a placebo and regular recommendations for a healthy lifestyle. And then group number three, those people completed a lifestyle program that included weight loss and a minimum of 150 minutes of moderate physical activity a week. And the study concluded that the group that made the lifestyle changes that included regular physical activity were decisively more effective in preventing type 2 diabetes than just metformin, which I thought was
It's amazing.
absolutely powerful
Yeah.
and incredible. The power of movement and that idea of movement as medicine.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, man. The biggest takeaway here is that simple part of the movement and what that did for those people was more powerful than just doing the medication alone. Like it's exactly why we do this show and what we're trying to accomplish. So I thought that was really impactful.
Yeah. There's some more amazing studies that are cited in this article, and we'll certainly link to it in the show notes. But ultimately, I think as we kind of summarize the main point of this article is that there's no magic pill that we can take that's going to solve all of our health problems or challenges. I think we live in this modern instant microwave society, easy button society. We're always looking for a shortcut or a hack, to feel better and make things easier in life. And what I'm taking away from this article is this idea that one of the best things we can do, if there is a magic pill, it's movement, it's exercise, it's making a lifestyle in which you intentionally move your body every day, regularly, right? And if we can just be consistent with that and stop being so sedentary, that can make a tremendous difference and impact in our health outcomes and just the way we feel on a day-to-day basis. So, Aaron, any last thoughts from you?
No, that's it, man. And the article reinforced what we talk about too as you're getting started. Maybe you might be going through pre-diabetes or somebody just looking to get your health together or get back on track with things. Just start simple. Start moving. Start walking more. Stand up more. whatever that looks like. Don't try to go too crazy with it. Just get started. And any movement is great and super beneficial for you. So when you're at the grocery store, park further away. If you're doing errands, try to figure out ways that you can walk more to get to those places if you can. If you have kids or a dog or whatever, like incorporate that in terms of like walking around with them and doing more stuff with them. Any physical activity is good. So something to stay in mind or top of mind for us. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. We'll be back with another episode of Wellness for Real People very soon. And in the meantime, take care.